Welcome back to the Makers of MidCity Podcast. I'm your host, Clark Dunn.
And I'm Nadia Niakastri, Head of Development for RCP Companies.
And today we have the opportunity to sit down with Joanna White, the new Managing Director of the Apollo Coalition. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so you just took on this position recently, but you have been involved in the community in a variety of different aspects for years. Talk a little bit about some of the things you were doing prior to taking this position.
Sure. Yes. 6 weeks on the job, it's been great, but I've been part of RCP Companies for a long time as a consultant, just coming alongside Nadia and Max when they needed some additional support. And so have really enjoyed watching MidCity come up out of the ground. As a native and someone who's been involved in a lot of really cool developments in the community, MidCity's really special. And I think that a few years down the road, we'll look back and go, hey, we spent our whole career working on this, but then we ended up doing this legacy building project, which is what MidCity is. So it's neat to look back on all the things I've done and see how they're all kind of culminating now in the Apollo Coalition. I've been involved in the small business scene for a long time. I've been part of the nonprofit world in Huntsville for 20 years. I've been working in event production for 25 years. I love all kinds of local arts and performing arts groups and have been involved with those for a long time. And the Apollo is, it's a culmination of all those things, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I would assume, just having that such a variety of different things that you did in your career, that the resume kind of speaks for itself. And so being able to now to kind of put all those pieces together and figuring out the best ways in which to use those skills that you already have, the connections you already have in the community to further what the Apollo Coalition is doing is your ultimate goal. For those that maybe don't know what the overall goal is for the Apollo Coalition and what its mission is, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So it's a really unique nonprofit. We've found a couple others in the United States that developers have stood up to build out the soft layers of a community. And that's one of the reasons that I've loved and been passionate about RCP Companies and the way they work since we met years ago, is that Nadia, Max, Lindsay, everybody on the team is really interested in not just building buildings, but building community. Phil on our team said it a few weeks ago, and I was like, that's it. That's the mission of the Apollo Coalition, which is that we want the people who live, work, and play in MidCity to not just be consumers, but to feel free to collaborate and create as well. And so we're cultivating this community of people who want to see, really great arts and cultural experiences, who want to eat incredible food and have wonderful drinks after work, who want to make an impact in a lot of different ways and live a sustainable life, in a place that's focused on that. And so that's what makes MidCity and a lot of RCP's developments really special. And it's not just here in Huntsville. They're doing work across the Southeast, some of which we can't talk about. But that's really exciting to be a part of something that you're like, this is going to be here for a long time. And I'm really interested in that. I want my kids and grandkids to be able to look back and go, wow, Huntsville was great then. It's even better now. And now I'm inspired by the work people before me did. How can I work to make it better for the next generation? And the whole city is that way. We're such a philanthropic community. People that love to volunteer and connect with causes. And that's my life mission, And so at the Apollo, I think we have the opportunity to do something really cool because we're so unique. So the developer stood us up, but now I'm working to make us really autonomous in the way that we're operating within the community. And we'll always have this, great partnership with RCP Companies and the Camp and Octa Hospitality and MidCity Association. But really, Apollo is going to be the thing that takes us beyond Huntsville and working on that drive to create community through, creativity and innovation. So the Apollo funds Generator Huntsville, which is a really incredible program that helps people in the early stages of founding a new business with a new idea. And I love that work, and their leadership is just incredible. It's so fun to partner with people like Sierra and Roxy, and y'all have had Sierra on. She's amazing. Go watch that episode. It's so good. So we do that. We're working on a really incredible program at New Century Technology High School, which I'll be able to share more about as it develops out. And that's been really, inspiring to watch. And then just community building through really awesome arts and cultural experiences. Everything from the market at MidCity, which falls under the Apollo now, to Crawfish Festival.
Yeah, I want to get into like each of the things, especially like I want you to hit on specifically a couple of these programs that you're talking about and like get into a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
But I want to say Max and I have been talking about this nonprofit that we wanted to start. And we talk a lot about the soft layers of RCP a lot on this podcast, and it's everything that's between the buildings, all the different programs that create that community driven development. And that's, honestly why this podcast exists too. It's like talking about all the people that make up the soft layers of the district. And the hard layers, of course. Like we've talked to engineers and architects and landscape people. We've talked to Sierra and the accelerator program and people like that. But when we were talking about this nonprofit, and Joanna has been a longtime consultant of ours just throughout the years I've been with RCP for 8 years, and she was one of the first faces that I met when I first started working for RCP. And she has such a deep knowledge and passion and understanding for our community. She's worked with Mayor Battle on his campaigns for years and years. She's worked in the arts. She's worked for numerous nonprofits and in the theater world. And so I remember we were having a conversation. I think we were all in the car on the way to Nashville. And we were telling Joanna about this nonprofit we wanted to do. We were like, Joanna, we need somebody to really take this on full time, be a fundraiser, be a community leader for this nonprofit. Who do you recommend? And she was like, well, why not me?
You're looking at it.
That is perfect.
Here's a really funny moment.
It was a funny moment.
Because for a moment I was like, are you kidding?
Yeah, because
I'm right here.
And I love this tagline of yours. You wear a lot of hats and you wear them all well.
Yeah.
And so it never even occurred to us that because this is a full time. Yeah, this is a one full time big hat to take on.
Yeah.
And she's truly the perfect fit for this world, because she knows everybody in this community well, and loves this community to her core. And it's been an awesome first 100 days in the office or whatever it's been.
Thank you. It's been good. Yeah. 60 days.
Woo, 60 days.
Well, and I think what's interesting, because Nadia just said I know everybody, but I actually have a personal goal to meet like 10 new people every month and really connect. And I've been really good at that. But one of the things that most impressed me about Nadia when I first met her was she was doing the music audit. She was the local consultant helping Sound Diplomacy put together the music audit. And she invited me to be part of this focus group. And I was like, okay, sure. Walked in, I knew no one else in the room. And that is very unusual for me. And so I was like, especially when we're in the arts, any kind of arts adjacent thing. And so I was like, okay, this woman's impressive. She put together a group of people that I've never met before. Yeah. And so we tend to work good. We work
well like together. It's great.
Widening our circles and thinking about how to bring people to the table that maybe don't always have access.
We're both locals, and we're both from different parts of the town.
That's right.
Clark, we even talked about this last night. We have this like local rivalry. She's team Bandito. I'm team Little Rosie's. So it's just been a good.
It's like this is the podcast with three
locals.
Three natives. Never
this is probably a first timer.
100%. I don't think there's ever been in one room together before. I don't think there's been this many at least.
You're right. Yeah. Whenever I'm like, I'm a native and I'm married to a native, it blows their minds.
Yeah, same. So okay, first 60 days in office. How has it been? What's your goal for being, first, I know we talked about this yesterday, like what you want to be doing your first quarter, but what have you been up to, and like, what are you trying to get involved in for your first few days in office?
So, that's a great question, because this thing is so, I don't know if the word is like amorphous. I don't know. every day's new.
Yeah.
And I'm right next to Max. If you've worked with Max, then I'm right next to Max. That's all you need to know. That means that some days I don't do anything that I feel like is directly connected to the nonprofit. But the beauty of it is everything we do in that office is connected to the nonprofit. And so I'm spending a lot of time just sharing with my personal network, which includes everyone from like Redstone Federal Credit Union all the way down to local artists and musicians, people who are founding new businesses. I put a link out there on LinkedIn and was like, come see me. And all these people signed up for coffee. And so I've just been telling the story, which has really helped me hone in on what I want to do with the nonprofit. So in the first quarter, I'm doing all the stuff that no one else finds fun, but I find incredibly fun, like building out board policies, bringing on a couple of new board members. Anytime you're building a new nonprofit, you keep your board kind of small so you can stay really nimble. And that's what they've done with Apollo since its founding. We're adding a couple of members, but otherwise we're keeping it small so we can move quick. But we still need some policies and stuff. So finally finished, I've been working on our mission statement and value statement and our pillars and things like that the last couple of weeks. So just doing a lot of like brain work, which I'm good at, but I'm getting bad at it as I get older. And I've been in school, so I use a lot of that bandwidth to complete my degree. And so it's been nice to use it for this. And
we were just talking early, like right before we started the podcast. It's like nice that like you have been telling people about what the Apollo Coalition is doing right now and like the different initiatives and programs that we're working on. But what I love is that you're also getting feedback on new initiatives and new things that we can get into while you're having these coffees and lunches with people. So it's this like ever evolving, train of thought of like where there's a never ending need for this, I think. And it'll be really cool to watch as Apollo Foundation or Apollo Coalition unfolds. You're good. You can come through. No worries.
That's the first thing I did. The first week I was like, we're not a foundation. Let's change the name. And so we did that. That's the kind of things we're focused on right now. My board's already like, let's talk about metrics. That's great. I love that. Our team's been really helpful, figuring out the finances and how this thing will work and flow. So it's been fun. And then we have great events coming up. So if you want to sponsor something, give me a call. One of Joanna's initial roles is she's taking on all the different, the types of programming that we do all throughout Mid-City. So Crawfish Fest, Whistle Stop, Camp to Amp, all the different festivals that are all throughout Mid-City will be one of her first projects to take on. Yeah. But talk a little bit about the program with Mike Williams and the students. Great. Have we had Mike Williams on yet?
No, not yet.
We got to get Mike Williams
He's met Mike Williams, so we'll have him on too.
Mike is really special. And I've met a lot of people. He's really
so low key. This Huntsville guy who has so much on his plate and doing so many cool things, but so low key.
He's so low key. And I really appreciate that about him, because when you run around in certain circles, there are a lot of people who do things for the photo op. I think it's that way in any community.
Of course.
Thankfully, I think it's less here than it is in a lot of places, but I love that he's just quietly making a massive impact. It's so cool. But I really appreciate this work he's doing at New Century. So he started a software development program there, really focused on product development, and kids at New Century have access to a lot of book learning, but they don't necessarily, unless they come naturally with the access, have access to really working on one project and like getting it across the finish line with mentorship. And so he's very intentionally chosen a group of kids who maybe wouldn't always have access to those resources, and they work with him. He pays them. And we're moving that whole program under the Apollo so we can scale it, but mostly so we can give him some support, the kind of underpinnings that he needs to be really successful there. He's already so successful. He doesn't really need us, but when he's ready to grow it, we want to have that framework. And the kids are geniuses.
So smart.
Yeah.
They're brilliant.
I was fortunate. I think Nadia connected me and Mike together, and he brought a group of students into my office.
Yes.
And I, talked to them through podcasting, and I talked them through,
they're starting a podcast.
The process that I go
their
about. And then I even brought them down to my studio at Lincoln Mill and showed them like my whole dashboard of like how I communicate with my wife, of like what needs to be edited and like the different files and how I organize things.
Amazing.
And then, like all the different ins and outs, and they just loved it. And they were like asking great questions. And it's amazing just to see, because now that I've run into him a couple more times since then, he is very low key, but he's doing such a cool thing.
Yeah.
And so it's awesome to kind of see the Apollo Coalition kind of take that on and kind of continue to grow that.
Yes.
I think what's interesting too is like as you've been building out your sort of the pitch the last 60 days, you're probably continuously changing it and updating it and fixing it as you're getting the response from people.
Yeah.
What's sort of been that, maybe that insight that someone's given you as you've given them the pitch? Maybe it was early on when you were first doing it that you've kind of tweaked and changed because there was some maybe miscommunication.
I haven't tweaked or changed too much. I think what I'm leaning more into is that, quality of life is an investment. It's not charity. And for a long time in every community, we approach anything that's adjacent to the arts or arts and culture as kind of a perk, like icing on the cake. But we've moved into an era of society with new generations coming into the marketplace that arts and culture has to be an investment. Quality of life is an investment. The way we're building out MidCity, we've made major investment in the soft layers, the things between the buildings. And so I've adjusted my pitch to that, to talk about, if you're sponsoring Crawfish Fest, let's just say, you feel like you're giving money to a festival, but actually what you're doing is supporting the soft layers of what we do here at MidCity. And you're making it the tenants feel like, oh, I have something right down the street I can participate in. You're making the transplants who are looking for that specific Southern experience, feel like, oh, I found something that kind of represents the South to me that I can engage in. You've got people who've moved here from areas where crawfish boils are a big deal. We have major partnership with Louisiana. Stennis Air Force Base is there. They do, all kinds of space things with us. And so people move here from there. I know tons of people who've moved here from that area. And so it's like a bit of home for them. Well, anytime you can do any of that, you're making an investment in your community. If you donate to the Museum of Art, or if you support Panoply, if you shop at Low Mill, you're supporting the soft layers of the Rocket City. And that's so important to me. And that pitch has worked with everybody. They're seeing it now because they understand that their business and their bottom line is impacted if people don't move here.
Yeah.
Or if people who live here don't stay here. I think we talk a lot about transplants, but we are good at MidCity at focusing on the locals too. And that's what's been really interesting to watch, because I think, if you're a long-time local, and I can speak for being a long-time local, and so can you guys, you might feel left out, because it feels like there's a big focus on getting people to move here, but it's really getting people to stay here. And that's a huge difference. I can get someone to move here. They might stay forever. They might stay for a year because it doesn't meet their expectations. If I can get people to move here and stay here, that's the key. And that's why we have to do the kind of stuff we're doing out here, the kind of stuff we do downtown, the kind of stuff we do at Ditto Landing, on our college campuses. We have to do it all and make it sticky so people stay.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too. It's that though there is a lot of transplants and there's a lot of people that are bringing their ideas into the community. But I had this conversation with actually Mayor Battle recently about just how that melting pot of ideas, where you have these people that are bringing these unique perspectives, these ideas for these events, this culture to Huntsville. And then they're also then adopting Huntsville culture.
That's right.
And that's something that is unique. And I think it's something that sets the Huntsville community at large apart from other communities.
Yeah.
Is that, though they bring their own ideas, they then adopt our ideas.
That's right.
And they like the weird and quirky things that we do that's like very unique just to the Huntsville, Alabama. They're just like, this is my favorite thing. And I love being a part of this. So it's interesting just to kind of see, as you're having these conversations with people that maybe aren't natives to Huntsville and that they moved here, their ideas and their love for what's going on is stuff that maybe Huntsville's been doing for a while too.
Right.
And so it's incredible just to see that whole process work together.
We take rockets for granted, y'all. They are so cool. Seriously. People come in. We had a reporter here last week from out of the country, and we drove by the rockets, and her mouth, I mean, she was like, wow. And so, I agree. We have a lot more to talk about, but we have to think about our launch pad. And that's literally what that was. We are such a cool place. And I love that we've started lately to really lean into our nerdiness and embrace that whole, we do cool stuff here, we can't necessarily tell you about it kind of motto that we've spouted for a long time at RCP. Because people from outside our community who aren't from here, they find it very cool. So we can't take that for granted. My best friend works at NASA. She gets to work a launch this year. That's been a lifelong dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we get to lean into that, which is really cool and very unique. I hate when people are like, they'll send me that really funny like TikTok with the guys who are like, we have a brewery, we have an amphitheater. They're like, oh, it's just like Huntsville. And I'm like, yeah, but none of those places have rockets. None of them. So you can compare us all you want to. You can make fun of our growth and what we're trying to do, but none of those places have a space line. We do. And that makes us so much cooler, especially us natives. We take that for granted, but it's really cool.
It is a very cool thing. I definitely think I probably took it for granted until I went out to Marshall and I was like, this is a whole different. How long has this been here again? 65 years? Oh, wow. I just thought you had Space Camp. And so it's incredible just to kind of see that. And I think when that realization comes for people, even if they are natives or if they're transplants, it's that, oh my gosh, like it's much broader than what people have the conception of prior to coming. There's so many new and unique things and people perspectives on things. It's incredible to see as this time of the year is kind of transitioning into a lot more events for you.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about some of those events that are coming up in the next few months, as well as kind of those bigger events that you're planning on maybe 6 months out.
Yeah. So at MidCity, we have a lot of events, and I've taken on the ones that I think really rise to the mission of the Apollo Coalition. And then Lindsay at MCA does such a great job. She's the MidCity Association. She's doing Camp to Amp and great events like that. And then we're partnering on a few things. So Crawfish Fest is coming up April 19th. It'll be so much fun. We have a great band and tickets go live for that this weekend. So look out for that. It'll be really fun. Well, actually, this podcast probably won't air before then, but there
if you're listening, they're out.
The tickets will be out by the time.
The market, of course, market at MidCity falls under the Apollo Coalition now. And that really rises of all the things we do to our mission, because the Apollo Coalition is so focused on incubating great ideas. All right. Maybe the great idea is a mural. Maybe the great idea is a really wonderful apartment building, whatever it is. We're all about incubating those ideas. And the market is like that, every single week. It's a great example of that. So working on that right now. And Lindsay's got a great group of vendors, and we have some really wonderful sponsors who are coming alongside us. And I love that because there's a consistent way to touch the public every Sunday at that market, which is great. We'll have a big 4th of July shindig, and I'm kind of dreaming about that right now. So because we have the opportunity to change it up a little bit. And we have the new park. So how we utilize the park, and a little secret, my dad's a pyrotechnician. He does all the fireworks pretty much in North Alabama. We call him Pyro Dad. He's the best. So he's working on the fireworks show for the 4th of July. And last week I called him and was like, people can see this from the park, right? Like the new park. And he's like, of course, Joanna, they're fireworks. You can see them for miles. But I just was like, I want to use the park. So we're talking about some options for that. And then
the last few years with July 4th too, we've synced the fireworks show with the Huntsville Symphony. I think that's been a really cool draw.
Yeah, the Madison Orchestra. Yeah,
the Madison Orchestra.
They're unavailable this year, so we're going to pivot that a little bit, and that's going to be really cool. I'm thinking maybe like a picnic on steroids, for the whole community. So we're just working on that now. And then Whistle Stop will be in the fall, and I've been involved with Whistle Stop for a really long time. So to watch it kind of morph into this great event surrounded by MidCity is really cool, because it used to be downtown, surrounded by downtown. And then it moved to John Hunt Park for a little while. MidCity's such a cool fit for it. And so we're talking about that and our music lineup for that, and have the opportunity to make it something really special. It's already special. So excited to work on that. And then Lindsay and I have been dreaming about some other ideas too. And I want to do night markets at the camp. I want to lean into that scene of just the artists and the people out there who maybe right now don't necessarily have a home. I want them to feel like they can come do cool stuff at the camp. So working on that with Jamie and Cody with Octo, who are just, they're all stars, they're so amazing. So that's been fun. It's interesting to be in a role where I get to dream a little bit because I've served a lot of nonprofits. I worked for Arts Huntsville for 10 years, which is a 65-year-old nonprofit. There's so many advantages to that. You kind of are given a mission and a framework, and it's really easy to work within that. This is hard, what we're doing. So my imposter syndrome kicks in sometimes, but for the most part, it's been a fun journey so far to dream and then go, does this really fit the mission? Wait, what's our mission? Oh, this is our mission, and shape this thing out. So a year from now, this interview might go totally differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's exciting after working with so many established nonprofits for a long time to get to build something new. I got to build something new when we built Hatch. With Garrett and Beth and Ruth Mercado, building out this, restaurant industry training ground and building out a new nonprofit. That was fun, but it still has a very clear mission. So getting to just dream really big, which is,
and it had been done before.
That's right.
This has not been done before in this way. So
not that we can find.
Unique. Yeah. That's what's unique about Apollo Coalition.
Yeah. Which is great because we're named in part after the Apollo missions. And that was some big old dreams. They were really, ready to fail forward and go. And so that's what we're trying to do, which if you've done anything with Max and Nadia and Remy, they like to let's just do it. Take some risks and go.
There's no playbook. So we like to, build the plane as we're flying it.
Build the plane as we're flying it.
Literally.
And so as we've talked a lot about some of these events and the mission of the Apollo Coalition as well, what are sort of the people in the community here in Huntsville that you're wanting to that will help further the mission for the Apollo Coalition and kind of continue to allow us to dream big? In 2025. Yeah.
So if you've ever read any books by Peter Kageyama, he does just incredible writing and stories about placemaking. And he talks about co-creators, and that's who I want. I want anybody who sees themselves creating something incredible in our community. I don't care what it is. Is it a podcast? Great. Come play, So I think hopefully in what we're doing at Apollo, there'll be a space for everybody. And I really love that idea of us creating and not just consuming. And so who are those people that have great ideas and maybe have never really found a seat at the table? I think there's going to be a place at the Apollo for them to be part of what we're doing, because we're doing things in music, in the performing arts, in festivals, in food and beverage. We've got something for everyone. In tech, I'm loving learning more about the tech world. And we have a women in tech initiative. We have defense tech. We have all these areas where people who've never really had a seat at the table can come find a seat. And that's very important to me. I've been really passionate about that for a long time. So hopefully everybody will want to engage. If you want to give me money, I think if you're interested in community building and building out something that is sticky, where people want to come here and stay here and be a part of your business or your organization, your church, your school, whatever, we're doing that work. It just feels strange because it's a totally new idea, but we're doing that work. And whether you're donating to Crawfish or you want to sustain Mike's program at New Century and help us build that out, that's what we're doing. And so as we continue to shape out those ways for people to engage, I'm hoping that everybody will find some way to donate and be a part of what we're doing. It's not even a donation; it's an investment. You're going to see a return on that. Whether it's your business is, heavily recruiting right now, well, we can help you do that. Nadia and I are really good recruiters. We can make anybody want to move to Huntsville.
Oh yeah, can sell the Huntsville story. It's an easy story to sell when people know about it.
Yes, you just have to get them here. You know.
Yeah, and so it's incredible. I mean, I think, like you said, there's so many different the amount of layers that the Apollo Coalition has. Yeah, and we've almost just scratched the surface. Yeah. Like there is so much more. Like this conversation, like you said, in a year from now, we'll have to have you back on because it's going to completely reshape what's happening, not only in MidCity, but what's happening in Huntsville as a whole. Yeah. And so we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes that kind of gives information about the Apollo Coalition, links to Joanna. So if you're wanting to connect with her about anything that we've talked about today, links will be there. But I appreciate you being here. I enjoyed it. I am excited to see the impact this will have. Like I said, not only in Mid-City, but this is impacting the community of Huntsville. And so it's exciting to see it. And I look forward to continuing to see how you're able to impact different people and different communities all across Huntsville.
Watch it flourish. Can't wait.
That's right.
Thanks for being on, Joanna.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.